The lecture today here at Dar Zainab during this first Ashra is dedicated to the females of Karbala. Tonight I'm going to talk about Bibi Sakina bint al-Hussein alayhi salam. In some narrations, she is also known as Ruqayya. However, for simplicity, we will stick with Bibi Sakina bint al-Hussein alayhi salam. It can be said that the hardship that she saw in her 4 years of her life, in today's time, she was not even in the kindergarten, her age, and she suffered so much during her tender age. And it does not compare to anything or anyone. From travel to Medina to Iraq, and then witness the death of her brother Ali Akbar, her uncle Abbas, and his younger brother Ali Asghar, then tortured and then tents burned to the ground, taken prisoners and paraded from Karbala to Kufa and Kufa to Sham, and remaining in prison for a 4-year-old is just very tragic. Yazid and his minions would and did so much hardship that we never almost heard of such hardship. In the hardship, people saw what Yazid was like, but Allah was not too far. Yazid's life ended few years after the tragedy of Karbala, and there is not even sign of his burial or his remains. While Ahl Bayt names are being remembered 1400 years later, and will be remembered for eternity. Sakina's life began in Medina 4 years prior to the tragedy of Karbala. She was the daughter of Imam Hussein and Bibi Ruba. Sakina means providing sukoon or tranquility, and hence peace of mind. And she did provide sukoon to her father in the moments of joy and the moments of hardship. So we are going to step into the world of Bibi Sakina alayhi salam, the beloved daughter of Imam Hussein, and describe the tragedy of Karbala through the eyes of a young child, with her innocence, courage, and heartbreak of a little girl whose stories continues to inspire hearts across generations. From the gardens of Medina to the burning sands of Karbala and the darkness of captivity to the light of hope, Sakina's voice echoes with faith, resilience, and longing for justice. Her tale is of sorrow, but also a testament to enduring power of love and the legacy of Ahlul Bayt. I will try to be brief to talk about Sakina's journey from Medina to Karbala to Sham until her untimely death in Sham. In Medina, she was the favorite of Imam Hussein. He would tell her, "You carry the light of your smile." As Imam was preparing for a journey to Kufa, Sakina bid farewell to her older sister Sugra, who told her to take care of my Ali Asghar. Then she and her father said goodbye to Salma, her great-grandmother and the Prophet's wife, and said goodbye to her, in which she said to Imam Hussein, "Your grandfather told me that what would happen on this path. I have seen it in dreams. Take care of the children." And on the last day in Medina, she bid farewell to al-Banin and told Sakina to be brave, my child. May Allah's mercy be upon you. It was a sad departure from Medina, but they left. They traveled to Mecca, and as the plans changed, Imam Hussein left Mecca on 8th al-Hajj, right before the Hajj season, heading to Iraq. The road to Iraq was long. It was during a very hot season. During the day and the cold at nights, the journey tested more than their strength. It tested their faith. Hazrat Abbas was always there for the children. He would bring water, always watching over the children. As they traveled, they met caravan along the way. Some of the caravan joined Imam Hussein, and that was comforting. Then came the sad news on the 25th of Zil Hajj. Imam Hussein was informed that Muslim ibn Aqil had been martyred in Kufa by the forces of Ibn Ziyad, Imam Hussein with Sakina brought in a little girl called Hamida. She was about Sakina's age, and the Imam said to Hamida, "As of today, I am your father." Hamida was a daughter of Muslim ibn Aqil, who had just been martyred in Kufa. The desert they were in offered no comfort. They were wondering if they could join Hamida's true brothers when they reached Kufa. The road to Kufa was long and hot. As they were getting closer to Kufa, soon a group of men appeared, with Imam Hussein now getting serious. The soldiers appeared thirsty and restless. It was Hur and his army. Imam Hussein greeted Hur, even though they were strangers and carried swords. Imam gave them water for themselves and their animal, and Hur prayed behind Imam Hussein during that time. On the second of Muharram, Imam Hussein reached Karbala as they were forced by Hur not to go to Kufa and eventually lit the end of sorrow, Karbala. From the 3rd of Muharram, armies began arriving with Saad. Uncle Abbas would hold up Sakina in his arms and would show him the open skies with the moon and the stars and tell her everything would be okay. Her elder brother, Hazrat Ali Akbar, would sing the melodies of the grandfather used to recite in Medina. On the 7th of Muharram, a sharp command came from Kufa. The river must be sealed. Amr bin Hajjaj and his men lined the banks with shields. Bibi Sakina watched them drive the lances into the sands, blocking every path to the water. The last stock of water was used up to give the infants and the children, and Bibi Sakina had some. She still felt sorrow knowing that others were thirsty. When you are thirsty, the heat becomes even stronger. Sakina heard her father at night reciting the verses of the Quran and doing dua. And he was reciting the verse that says, "Do not think Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers are doing." Her younger brother Al-Yaskar had his cries softened as the thirst became stronger after 3 days of no water. The night of Ashura, Rabab arms grew weaker as she tried to comfort Al-Yaskar, whose cries grew softer by each passing hour. As Sakina looked at the open skies with the moon and stars, she wondered, and being thirsty, whether it was same stars that would shine in Medina. The Ashura night, the enemy's drums were beating as they prepared for the battle. Bibi Sakina was watching her father and elders reciting Quran and whispered prayers. And through darkness, the cries of thirsty children rose to the sky, the sorrow that would echo forever. The morning of Ashura began with the azan of Sakina's brother Ali Akbar. As the sun climbed higher, the sounds of the drums and the shouts of the enemy grew louder. Soon Bibi Sakina saw Hur come to the tent. It was the same Hur who had blocked Imam Hussein on his way to Iraq. Hur was weeping, begging for forgiveness and asking to join Imam. Imam welcomed him with open arms, and Hur stood with Imam, choosing the truth over fear. Later on, Sakina would witness Abbas telling her and asking her for a water bag. Abbas said to Sakina, "I am going to the river to bring you water as I promised your father. I will not fight. I will bring water to you and the children." Bibi Sakina was scared, and as Abbas said, "Nothing will happen to you as long as I am alive. Nothing will happen to you and your father as long as I am alive." Bibi Sakina gathered all the children and told them, "My uncle Abbas will soon bring water. Bring your water container and our thirst will soon be quenched," she told the children. Sakina watched the alam of Hazrat Abbas rise in the distance with hopes flickering in the hearts of the children. But then the flag disappeared. Sakina ran to his father, and he was already riding on a horse, riding towards the river, drawn by the call of his brother. When he returned, his Imam Hussein's back was bent, his face broken. Imam Hussein handed the pierced water bag to Bibi Zainab and telling Sakina with sadness that Uncle Abbas has asked me to tell you to forgive him. He could not keep the promise of bringing the water. Sakina knew that his uncle Abbas was gone. Sakina asked her father, "Where is my Uncle Abbas? I don't want water anymore. I just want him back." But alas, Hazrat Abbas would never return. After Hazrat Abbas's martyrdom, the day became gloomier. Sakina saw her father call out, "Hal min nasirin yansuruna?" Is there anyone to help us? His plea echoed through the battlefield, but no one answered, no one moved. A commotion swept through the camp. Ali Asghar, 6 months old only, began to cry uncontrollably. Sakina rushed to his side to cuddle him, but there was no comfort left to give. Rabab also rocked the baby. Ali Asghar cries grew weaker, his body limping with exhaustion. And Imam said to Rabab, "Give me Ali Asghar, I'll go and ask the enemy for some water." At the battlefield, Imam was holding Ali Asghar high, pleading not for war, not for land, just for water. But they did not see the baby. They saw defiance, and they fired an arrow and pierced through his neck, and he died. Ali Asghar died instantly. The scream of Bibi Sakina tore through the air. Rabab collapsed. The camp was silent. The air was heavy with loss. Ali Asghar was gone. On Ashura afternoon, Imam Hussein was lonely, stressed, thirsty, wounded, and nobody at his side. He was lonely. He was tanha. Then Imam gathered the women and children. The children gathered around Bibi Sakina, too young to understand, but old enough to feel the fear and pain in their hearts. Bibi Sakina knew as a child Imam Sajjad remained and would be the Imam. Sakina clung to her father and begged to him not to leave. Imam let her lie on his chest, and she fell asleep and dreamt of Bibi Fatima Zahra, who told her to let her father go. When she woke up, she bid farewell to her father and watched him walk away as the last light of Sakina's world. Then the silence, the battle was over. Bibi Sakina's soul was not much comparatively. Much more was to come. Her father had been killed, but this was just the beginning for Bibi Sakina and Ahl Haram. Zuljana returned to the camp of Imam Hussein without Imam Hussein, and Bibi Sakina knew her father was gone. Suddenly the earth began to tremble beneath the feet of Bibi Sakina. The skies turned red as if they were weeping for her father. The wind howled through the camp, carrying on its cries of the children and wail of the women. Sakina was looking around for protection, and there was none left. Uncles, brothers, and father were all gone. Bibi Sakina searched for her mother, for Layla Zainab, Kulsum, and Fizza. They all clung to women. Only her brother Sajjad remained among the men, weak and ill and unable to stand. The world felt empty and dangerous. Then the enemies stormed the tent, torches in their hand. Bibi Sakina saw her brothers, uncle, and father's companion, bodies lying outside lifeless. The tent was set ablaze. The enemy looted everything. Bibi Sakina earrings were snatched from her ears and blood running down her cheek. Then Shimr struck her, slapped her, and she begged for water, but none came. Then the sun set, and Bibi Sakina was running into darkness for her father. "Where are you, Baba?" And then she heard a voice calling her to the body that was headless, mutilated, trampled and broken. She was in her father's arms. Bibi Zainab was looking for her, and she brought her back. Then the wife of Bibi Khur brought food and water to the children. Sakina was the youngest. Bibi Sakina walked to the battlefield searching for Ali Asghar, the youngest, but alas, Ali Asghar was no more. This is Sham-e-Ghariba, as they say, Karbala ki Sham, Then began the long journey to Kufa. The sun was hot, the land was dusty. People at Kufa gathered to stare at Ahl Haram, some weeping and others silent. They threw food at them, and Auntie Zainab told Bibi Sakina not to accept the charity. In the court of Ibn Ziyad, Bibi Zainab Auntie Zainab stood tall, her voice trembling with pain, but never with fear. She spoke for Ahl Haram, for every child who lost a father, every mother who lost a son. At night, Sakina would cry for her father, Uncle Abbas, his youngest brother Al-Yaskar. Bibi Sakina clung to her mother Rabab. Then the journey to Sham began. The journey was more cruel. It was inhumane. Sometimes Sakina would fall to the ground and she would get up and get back on the camel, even though she was very weak. Sometimes she looked at her mother and Aunt Zainab, trying to cover their faces with their hair or with torn pieces of cloth. People in town stared at Ahl Haram and threw stone and shouted cruel words. They were paraded through the burning desert, dignity stripped and their pain ignored. One day, on the brutal road to Sham, Sakina slipped and fell to the ground. The kafila moved ahead and she was all alone. She tried to run after the caravan, but her feet were hurting in chains. She was crying, but the soldiers did not hear and the caravan kept moving far away. Sakina prayed to Allah, please help me. I miss my Baba. Come and help. At the very moment, far ahead, the soldier tried to move the spear that carried Imam Hussein, blessed head. It would not move. No matter how hard they tried, the spear stayed stuck in the ground. The caravan stopped and everybody was confused. Imam Sajjad looked at the head of the father and said, Sakina is missing. The soldiers asked, how can we find her in the desert? Imam Sajjad replied, look at the direction of my father's head. It will tell you where she is. They followed the direction and soon Sakina found Zainab coming running for her. And Zainab said to Sakina, I am here now and will never let you go. After that, the spear moved again and the journey continued. Sakina's prayers and her father's love brought her back to her aunts and her mother. The journey continued until they reached Sham. They were kept at the city gates, waiting for hours. The crowd had gathered left laughing and jeering, not knowing who the Ahl Haram were. The streets were decorated with banners and colored clothes, and people were told that the rebels had been defeated. There was music and drums, and the city was ready for celebration. Sakina heard people asking, who are they? And then his brother Imam Sajjad would say, we are the family of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. The crowd fell silent and shocked. The guards forced Ahl Haram through the streets and the pelting continued. And then they reached the palace of Yazid. The hall was filled with people. Yazid sat on a throne surrounded by his men and he asked, who are these prisoners? And one man pointed to Sakina and said, let me buy this girl as a slave. But before anyone could touch Sakina, Bibi Zainab stepped forward and pulled Sakina towards her with her eyes blazing with courage, shielding her. And Bibi Zainab spoke with strength that even Yazid was silenced. Bibi Zainab protected Sakina and her brother Imam Sajjad. In the court of tyrant, Bibi Zainab spoke eloquently. She spoke of all the prisoners, for every child who had lost a father, for every mother who had lost a son. The Ahl Haram remained in prison for almost a year. In it, Bibi Sakina died after so much hardship, torture, and anguish. In the prison, she would cry for her father, Hazrat Abbas, and Uncle Abbas, and Al-Yaskar. The prison had no roof. During the day, the sun would burn the skin, and at night, the cold would creep into their bones. Sakina would look at the skies and see the birds going to their nests. And at night, in wishing she could also go to her home in Medina. At one night, she dreamt of Medina. She saw her father's radiant face and his eyes shining with love. Imam was telling her, sleep, my little star, your pain is over. She felt warmth in her grandmother's arm, shielded against all sorrows. That night she cried until she could no longer speak. Yazid heard the cries of Sakina and lost his sleep. he sent for the head of her father, and Sakina took it into her arms and said, "Oh father, who mutilated you? Who stained your beard with the blood?" And then at night she closed her eyes and saw them all waiting for him. She had left this world quietly in the dungeon of Sham, in the Bibi Zainab's arm. She was just a child, but she carried a mountain basically of all the pain and hardship. There was no shroud, no call for prayer. She was buried where she died, in the darkness beneath that prison. When women came to perform ghusl, they wept. Her body bruised, her ribs hurt. Each bruise was from a lash of a captor, each scarf being dragged in the chains. Rabab and Bibi Zainab grieved and said, "We bore you in pain, and now we bury you in pain." Though her life was brief, the story is not just of sorrow, but remember the innocent, to stand for the truth, and to let love and truth be our guide. As she remained buried far away from her father, let us not forget Bibi Sakina and send salutation to her when visiting her father's grave in Karbala. And that's it for my story. لعنة الله القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. صلوات.